Hello EDL 652, this is Adam Hall. This is my first video for the semester for Activity 1. Before I jump into the questions that Dr. McClure proposed that we tackle for this reading, I would love to just do a quick introduction of myself for those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, but hopefully will either this week or next week in class. Again, my name is Adam Hall. I'm the Assistant Director for Violence Prevention at UNC Wilmington. I've been there for about 6 years in the care office, doing violence prevention work and education work. I've been at UNCW for about 10 years. I did my undergraduate and my graduate work, and now I'm pursuing my doctorate in educational leadership in the higher ed program. So that's just a little bit about me. I live in Wilmington. I have a great wife. I have 2 little dogs. We're expecting a baby, so all kinds of fun things happening in my life right now. Just to jump in for the readings and for what's going on for this request, one thing that I really would like to learn in this course is learning a little bit more about how campuses are currently addressing the climate around campus harassment, free speech, and the balance of those two things, where often we hear of some more aggressive preachers or religious thought leaders, or even just conservative and liberal affiliated staff, faculty, and outside groups who come in and they begin to talk about different types of rhetoric, their values, their belief systems, and then when does that become harassment and frustration and all these different things? Because I tend to see that consequence of some of those speakers and belief systems that come to my office for folks who feel unsafe or they feel harassed on campus, whether it be their sexual orientation, their gender identity, their clothing, that somebody may have addressed or offended them on campus. So I'm curious to get some others' thoughts on that as that emerges throughout our time in the course. And I know some of that will pop up, just kind of a natural conversation around higher ed and critical issues. To get into the second question, my reaction and response to the readings, I've read a little bit of material from 2 of these authors in other courses, and I think it's really, our education system, though, is the most diverse in the entire world. We really do create access and prestige for those who already have access and prestige. I think that the systematic way in which we develop education systems, we provide the very specific type of education and cream of the crop kind of idea to certain students, families, and essentially echelons of citizens in the U.S. does really look problematic for those who have great talent and could do great things in their lives, but would never see the door, let alone walk through it. And so I think that, yes, these 3 authors provide really interesting insight, especially the Hacker and Marcus article regarding the rich-poor divide, where community colleges are seen as the open door for our campuses across the country, but they don't have anything in comparison to our more prestigious institutions, or even many of our comprehensive universities that aren't that as prestigious as some of our Tier 1 and Research 1 institutions. They don't have the same resources, infrastructure, or even access to types of successful programs or even education for their students. So I think all 3 of these articles do a really interesting job of making 3 really distinct points around the different forms of separation, whether it be financial, access, kind of training programs versus education. Many of the programs in the Pedigree article by Rivera really focused on that. You need to be a part of the elite to stay in the elite. That there are education programs, there are access points for folks in law schools or business schools, but they're not the same as these high-ranking kind of elite system creation conversations. Lastly, some questions I'd like to explore as part of our conversation this week. I'm very curious of what are some ways, and they are touched on briefly in the articles, but what are some systematic ways in which we can break down some of these access points so that we can actually have them as opposed to them just being barriers for students? That you don't have the right training, education, echelon, you haven't gone through the right rings, you don't know the right people, and so how do we systematically kind of address some of that moving forward? So that's what I'll propose for my short first video. I look forward to talking with all of you throughout the semester, and please do feel free to respond to this via message or even create a separate video, and I will try my best to respond back in the next few days. So I look forward to seeing everybody on Wednesday or thereabouts, and I hope you all have a great weekend and enjoy your Martin Luther King.